You guys hear that sound? It's the rumor machine gearing up for another ride. And this time, it deals with Microsoft buying EA, Valve, and PUBG? Oh man. Is this too good to be true? Well, you know what? Let's have a discussion about this right now, shall we? What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And every single week it seems like there's something new to talk about. But before we get into all this goodness, make sure you check out my impressions of Sea of Thieves beta. Tried it out for a few hours over the weekend, gave my thoughts on it. Check it out when you got the time. But as always, rumors and speculation are something I love to talk about, and this one is the creme de la creme, so juicy. You know, there's been talks by Phil himself saying that they want to grow first party and buy studios or build studios to enhance their first party games. Microsoft announcing Game Pass, which are putting first party content into a subscription service model. Maybe Microsoft needs more games to sell their Game Pass thing. Well, Polygon put out an interesting article today about Xbox One or Xbox's exclusive problem. How Sea of Thieves, Crackdown, and State of Decay can't compete with God of War, Spider-Man, and the Sony games. And how they could overcome this issue. And as you guys can see on screen, we're doing a little bit of old school here, so I don't really have any video offhand to actually run through this. But they talk about acquiring different studios. And oh boy, are they absolutely huge. So, some of the names being thrown around by this author of Polygon that Microsoft are looking into is, as the author says, frankly astounding and even unthinkable. Yeah, that was my first impression. So they've heard from a reliable source close to Microsoft that Microsoft is looking into purchasing not only Electronic Arts, but they've also heard whispers about Valve and about PUBG Corp, makers of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, who they do have a relationship with, considering they signed a timed exclusive deal for PUBG on the Xbox One. And there's a quote from an analyst saying, because of where we are in the life cycle of these things, I'm expecting to hear Microsoft announce something very, very shortly. And oh man, as soon as this article came out, everybody was talking about it on Twitter. Everybody I follow on Twitter has some sort of reaction or hot take to it. The thread on Reset Era is just a thing to behold. Is it possible? Could Microsoft buy Electronic Arts? Could they buy Valve? Man, people are just excited, disappointed, fearful, like all these different emotions. First off, people are like talking like this is true when it's clearly not true whatsoever, at least not yet. And to be honest, on the face value of it, Microsoft buying Electronic Arts doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because a lot of Electronic Arts' value is in the licenses they have. What does Electronic Arts put out every single year? They put out FIFA, they put out Madden, they put out NHL games. Every couple years they do a Need for Speed, maybe a Titanfall, a Star Wars Battlefront game here and there. But their main revenue driver is for the sports games with their, Madden Ultimate Team microtransaction stuff. Their value as a publisher is in being multi-platform and having those licenses and selling those games to as many people as possible. So I know when this rumor first hit, Xbox fans were like, oh my god, can you imagine FIFA, Madden, hockey, Star Wars, Battlefield, all exclusive to the Xbox? oh man, everybody would have to buy an Xbox then, right? And sure, if that were true, if all those games were exclusive to Xbox, that would be a huge selling point. Europe loves FIFA. Maybe they would start buying an Xbox. But financially, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because you would be essentially cutting EA's revenue in half, more than half, because PlayStation takes up a lot of their income, or they sell a lot of games to PlayStation users. So you just have to start thinking to yourself, number one, is it realistically possible for Microsoft to even buy Electronic Arts? And number two, what would be the strategy behind buying them? So yeah, Microsoft has the money to buy Electronic Arts. It's theoretically possible. Electronic Arts is valued around like $36 billion. Microsoft has something about $140 billion. It would be a hostile takeover. It wouldn't be one of the just mergers or whatever. Microsoft would probably have to go in there and take it over. But yeah, it's possible. Microsoft has the money to straight up buy Electronic Arts, although I don't really see Microsoft shareholders and stockholders really kind of agreeing or being happy about them dumping $40 billion into gaming, into Xbox, although this would probably be more of a Microsoft initiative, because think about it, $40 billion, Microsoft spent $2 billion on Minecraft, just on Minecraft. And even then, back in like 2014, you heard people say, that's way too much money for Minecraft. Of course, it came out and turned out to be a good situation for Microsoft because it was the buy of a lifetime. Minecraft's bigger than it ever has been. 144 million copies sold. 74 million people played it in December. It's bigger than Xbox Live, right up there with PSN and Steam. It was a great investment. Now think about that. $2 billion. And now you're almost 15 times that price to get EA, whose value is in the multi-platform games they sell to people. Because honestly, Microsoft doesn't need Need for Speed. They have Forza. And Battlefront would be a cool purchase. And you could run that game in a 3-year cycle with Halo Gears and then Battlefield, but you wouldn't necessarily buy that and buy the whole Electronic Arts just for Battlefield. Of course, there's BioWare and Anthem, but that's an unproven game. So their core of EA is in the licenses, which Microsoft would lose, or they would have to keep the games multi-platform. Sorry to kind of like break your hearts on this one, Xbox fans, if you were hoping to have FIFA or Madden exclusive, that just wouldn't work. So hypothetically, if they did buy Electronic Arts, everything would just be multi-platform. Yeah, maybe Microsoft could use those titles to bolster the Game Pass. You can get FIFA, Madden, all these games in Game Pass along with Microsoft's first-party stuff. But for it to be a viable business transaction and a viable model going forward, they're going to continue to have to sell FIFA and all those games on PlayStation and Nintendo Switch to make it even a worthwhile investment. So that's how I would see it. In fact, this would make more sense if Microsoft was going third party. Honestly, that's the only way this kind of makes more sense. If Microsoft was angling for a way to leave the video game industry, if they could somehow buy Electronic Arts, use their infrastructure on being this huge publisher, combine it with their first party, and then just be this mega publisher that could sell on PlayStation or Nintendo. But Phil said they're not leaving. Satya said they're not leaving. So I don't really think they're leaving like the hardware. And I meant hardware, not necessarily the video game industry. So I don't see that happening. So Electronic Arts, I just don't see it. I don't think it's realistically possible. Now maybe the person misheard. Maybe they're buying a studio of Electronic Arts. You know, Microsoft wants to buy a studio. Is it possible that they're going to try to buy DICE? Try to buy BioWare or one of the studios of BioWare, because there's like 2 of them? I don't know. But the Electronic Arts thing just doesn't make any sense to me unless Microsoft is looking to get out of the hardware business and just wants to be a mega third-party publisher. I mean, only time will tell, but I'm assuming pretty soon here we'll get a announcement or a quote from Microsoft saying they have no intention of buying EA. Now, the other 2 are a little bit different stories here, because Valve actually makes a lot of sense. Now, Valve runs Steam, which basically dominates PC gaming. It is a private company, so they can sell to whoever they want to. Gabe Newell, from what I can understand, has about 50% or 51% of the value of the company, of the stock, so he would have to sell. And he is getting up there in age. So it's quite possible, considering Microsoft is really getting on PC with Windows 10 and Xbox Play Anywhere, Valve's also valued a little bit less, a lot less actually, than Electronic Arts. It would actually make a lot more sense for Microsoft to spend a few $1 billion, buy out Valve, and just control PC gaming. And just leave Steam as it is. You own Steam, just reap the rewards. I'm assuming Gabe will want to sell at some point, cash out. Microsoft can make that a reality. And we all know Microsoft is trying to get into the PC marketplace, and this would be that move. They could have Steam, and they'd have PC gaming plus Xbox. Although that is kind of hard to believe as well. All these are really hard to believe. I mean, the PUBG one, since that's a single kind of developer who makes this current player-known Battlegrounds kind of fad, I mean, that's a little bit more believable because it is a single game. But man, these are some megaton type rumors if they ever happened. I mean, can you imagine sitting there, waking up, opening up the internet, and seeing Microsoft has bought out Electronic Arts? The Sony fans would be, especially if they were keeping the games exclusive, they would be upset. Nintendo fans not so much, since not a lot of Electronic Arts games on Nintendo platforms. But there are a lot of FIFA fans out there. There are a lot of Madden's fans out there that are on PlayStation. Oh man, it would be an interesting day reading the reactions across the internet. And maybe even more interesting would be the reaction to Microsoft buying Valve and actually owning PC gaming at that point. Because the PC elitists out there, and they know who they are, they don't like Microsoft one bit. They hate Microsoft. They won't use the Windows 10 store. And I really don't blame them. But can you imagine if Microsoft bought Steam and now all these PC players use Steam, are basically giving Microsoft money? Ooh, man, there'd be some butthurt people there too. But I don't know about any of this. I mean, he says he's gonna have more like speculation, some of the things he's heard in another article coming up in the future. But on the face value of it, I don't see any of these happening. If I had to rank them from least likely to most likely, it would be Electronic Arts, Valve, and then PUBG Core. The Electronic Arts one doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. All their value is in licenses, what they would lose. They would have to keep those games multi-platform. Only makes sense if Microsoft is thinking about becoming a third-party publisher. Valve makes a lot more sense, but even still, it's hard to fathom, and PUBG's is a single game, so I don't know, man. I want to know what you guys think, though. What would be the reaction, what would be your reaction to Microsoft buying EA, or Microsoft buying Valve, or Microsoft buying PUBG? Would you be for it? Would you be against it? Would you just want to see the reactions on social media? Because there will be some damn good ones if it does happen. But honestly, I can't see any of these happening. I think it's just kind of some dude maybe talking out of his ass. I don't know. But Microsoft buying Valve and EA. Interesting. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're always notified when I do drop new videos. Make sure you guys share this out on Twitter and elsewhere. I'm just kind of laughing at the idea of Microsoft buying EA or Valve. It's kind of ridiculous, but rumors, you know what they are. All right, guys. I'll see you later.